Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. In this video, we will go through the first lesson of Module 5, where we will explore the schedule updating process in detail. Here are two learning objectives of this lesson. Number 1, explain the schedule updating process during the execution phase. To achieve this objective, we will explain the role of schedule updating and the steps involved in incorporating changes to project schedules. Number 2, update precedence diagram networks and Gantt chart schedules. We will specifically go through a few examples to demonstrate how to adjust dependencies, modify activity durations, and ensure the updated schedule reflects the latest project progress. This video is focused on the first objective, while the second one will be covered in another video. Alright, let's talk about why it's so important to keep the project schedule updated. You see, projects are always evolving, and things don't always go as planned. There can be material shortages, labor issues, or unexpected design changes. By updating the schedule regularly, we ensure that all of these changes are accurately reflected, and we stay on top of the situation. Keeping the project schedule updated is crucial for understanding the impact of those changes and knowing who's responsible for what. Delays can mess with timelines, budgets, and resources. So, when things slip, we need to identify the cause, whether it's supplier delays, contractor issues, or something else. This way, we can hold the right people accountable and create a clear plan to get everything back on track. When we're updating the schedule, there are some key things we need to track. For example, major weather events and daily work progress, like what task and how much work was completed each day. These details help us figure out the actual start and end dates, the duration of tasks, and if there's any delay or loss in productivity. We also need to make sure we're recording the dates when materials are delivered and when approvals come through. Monitoring these factors is crucial for identifying the root causes of delays, and that's key for analyzing the project's impact and allocating responsibility. All of this information can be gathered through things like direct observations, photos, videos, and progress reports, which will give us accurate documentation of what's actually happening on site. That way, we've got everything we need to manage the project properly and keep it on track. Alright, let's assume you've recorded everything that's happened on the field. Now, how do you go about updating the schedule? Well, here's the typical process for doing that. Step 1. First, you need to create a baseline using the agreed upon as planned schedule. This is the original schedule that you developed and that was approved by the owner. Step 2. Now, you update the schedule with any documented changes that occurred during the reporting period. For example, you might need to adjust the start or finish dates of certain activities based on what's actually happening in the field. It's important to note that the schedule should be updated regularly, usually on a weekly or monthly basis, or whenever there's a need to evaluate the project's progress or to make a report to the client. Note that when updating the schedule, it's important to specify the status date, also known as the data date or as of date. This is the cutoff point up to which actual project data is collected for the update. When you perform the update and analysis, additional data may have been gathered in the field since this process is ongoing daily. However, any data collected after the status date is not included in the current update. This extra data will be used in the next update cycle. The updated schedule at completion is known as the as-built schedule. This is the last update you'll make for the project, reflecting everything as it was actually completed. Alright, this is the typical schedule update routine followed by the Florida Department of Transportation. The cycle begins on the first Thursday of every month, when the project schedule is open for updating. The responsible person reviews and updates the schedule based on the actual records. Any changes made to the schedule by the last Friday of the month must be reflected in the update. This updated schedule is then entered into Primavera to recalculate the start and finish dates for any incomplete work. After running audits in Primavera, any errors or issues identified in the schedule must be addressed and resolved with the project managers and responsible person. Let's say, for example, that after recalculating the schedule, the project duration is extended by 1 week. This issue must be addressed by rescheduling the remaining activities or increased resources. Once all issues are resolved, the updated schedule is transferred to the project management system, where it is used by all project team members as the new project schedule. This is an example of an as-planned and as-built schedule. The top figure shows the as-planned schedule in green, which represents the original plan, while the bottom figure is the as-built schedule in blue and red, which reflects the actual work done and when it was performed. As you can see, the project was delayed by 73 days, which is the gap between the finish of the last activity on the baseline and the as-built schedule. Now, we need to figure out why this project was delayed. Based on the schedule, I can say that a hurricane was one of the major causes. Extra work was required for hurricane preparation in the middle of Activity 2 and evacuation afterward. Interestingly, the finish of Activity 2 wasn't delayed. The contractor may have worked overtime to make up for the time lost due to the hurricane. However, the hurricane recovery task did impact other activities, such as 3, 4, and 5, which finished later than their originally planned date. So we can say the hurricane had a negative impact on the project. Now, do you see any other changes in the schedule? One change is the duration of activities 4 and 5. As you can see, these activities took longer than originally estimated. These delays could be due to factors other than the hurricane because they started well after the recovery was completed. The delays in these two activities contributed significantly to the project extension. We don't know for sure why these activities needed more time, because this schedule doesn't provide that information. It's likely due to errors in estimating the production rate for these two activities, but it could be for another reason. To know exactly why, we need further information and analysis. Alright, that's it for this video, where we covered key concepts related to schedule updating, why we need to update schedule, and the typical schedule updating process. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!